you said you were like kind of you weren't the natural saver. You were kind of the free spirit, the spender. You thought you had money coming in, so you could spend it, which I think a lot of people who live in society nowadays are probably aligned more with your story, than mine. I think that's just natural. I really do. So, I mean, really, what made you pivot from being that natural spender to saying, okay, wow, I really need to get my finances in check to where you are now kicking ass with money?
I think it was like a little bit of embarrassment and shame. This was
Really?
this was before my daughter was born, and we didn't have that conversation like we need to clean up money because we want to have kids one day. Like as far as we were concerned, we checked all the major boxes that people need to check. We both had full-time careers with benefits, and we were tenure and protected in our teaching professions. We both were driving cars that were reliable and great. We had bought a house. We were married. We went on our honeymoon. We really didn't see any major expenses, but it was just the aha moment of realizing, wow, I have these two jobs. Both of us have $100,000 plus salaries. At the time, I had just sold a business for a substantial amount of money, which a lot of it went into flipping my next business, which we'll get to. But then we had all these stuff, and I had a negative net worth. So I was like, I'm not a fake person. I take my integrity and I take my genuineness very seriously. And I felt like a fraud. I felt like when my friends came over and they're like, wow, man, nice house. I'm like, I never thought before, well, the bank owns it. Or when they're like, Brad, man, you have the first Gen 3 Tacoma that's hit Long Island. And I'm like, yeah. And now I was like, yeah, but I paid so much money for that when I probably shouldn't have. And
Mhm.
things just started to come into perspective. Now, 6 months later, when my daughter was born, boom, that was the major pivot because my father was ill, and this was a dude that worked his butt off his entire life and spoiled us, treated us like gold, but died with nothing. I'm living in the house. I'm sitting in my bedroom that I slept in as a teenager. That's now my downstairs basement. And my dad had this house for 35 years. When he passed away, it still had $190,000 on it, and he owned it for over
Wow.
30 years. So I think that was the major pivot point, was
Mhm.
just the embarrassment of shame of feeling like I wasn't doing the right thing, and I always wanted to do the right thing, and knowing when my daughter was born that I wasn't going to be the guy that passed away. And it's not about like leaving my kids with money,
Right.
because I don't think that people seek an inheritance when people pass away. That's not what I'm trying to get to, but that, they deserve to get something for putting up with me for all those
Well, it's
years.
also a legacy you're leaving, you know what I mean? Like, I think is huge. I mean, everyone's always kinda like, "What's the meaning of life?" But to be honest, I think your legacy is everything.
Right.
And I want the same way like you just mentioned, I wanna leave a legacy for my family. And we always talk about, we do this for a certain reason, and I think kids have definitely a total new perspective in life once you have kids, because you have to take on that parent role and you're now the main provider. So you want to look into all these different ways to where you can grow your net worth and create a legacy for your kids' kids, and God, hopefully your kids' kids' kids. You know what I mean? Like if
For
you can become that, I mean, that'd be perfect. That's ideal.
Yeah.